So you've done tapping before with Mum, yeah?
Yes.
So is there something that's been coming up as you've been watching all of this with other people that you wanted to work on?
A couple of things come up, and I don't know which. With one of the things I listened to yesterday, the one where they were in the tomb, I couldn't breathe at the end of that.
Yeah.
And one of the things I tap on all the time is illness. I have Lyme disease. For a really long time, I'm really sick. And I can't seem to figure out how to shake it.
Okay, so Lyme disease, of course, is a label. I'm not interested in the label. I want to know what it means for you and how it feels for you, and what the emotions are with it. That when you say I can't seem to get through it or to kick its ass, you know, it's like, what is Lyme disease for you, and what emotions does it bring up?
Fear, uncertainty, vulnerability.
Yeah, and where do you feel that in your body?
And weakness.
Weakness.
My chest, my stomach, and my legs.
Okay, so even though I've got this vulnerability,
this weakness,
this fear,
this
fear of the future,
and
I feel it in my chest and my legs, I accept myself, and everything that I'm supposed to be learning, from contracting with my soul,
and
contracting to get Lyme disease.
Lyme disease.
I feel uncertain of the future. I have all this weakness. It prevents me from living my life the way I want it. It restricts me. And I'm sick of being sick. It restricts me from so much. But I've learnt so much about myself that I might not have learnt if I hadn't have got Lyme disease. I wonder what the learning and the lesson is. That I contracted at a soul level. By choosing to get Lyme disease. For a learning and a lesson. About myself. At a physical and soul level. I feel weak. I feel uncertain. I feel vulnerable. And I'm asking my guides and higher self. Where does this come from? So I can release it and let it go. Instructing the multidimensional layers of my DNA. Where does this originate from? And what is it protecting me from? By having this Lyme disease. I accept myself. And my soul decisions. And I'm open and willing to learn. And dissolve and let go. Of all of the symptoms of Lyme disease. And everything that it's protecting me from. I release and let go of. All the way back to its origin. In this life and every life. Wondering where it comes from. This vulnerable feeling. This feeling of being ill. This weakness. In my chest, my heart. My legs. This fear. Fear of the future. Asking my guides and higher self. Where does this come from? So I can release it once and for all. All the way back to the first lifetime. And every lifetime I've ever felt it. Like when I had that hard to breathe feeling. When I listened to that channeling. When they were locked in the tomb,
when they were locked in the tomb,
to die there.
to die there.
I choose to release and let go
I choose to release and let go
of all the traumas,
of all the traumas,
all the deaths
all the deaths,
in all of the lifetimes,
and all the lifetimes,
and see that I am a soul that never really dies,
and see that I'm a soul that never really dies,
and that I have soul learnings and lessons.
and I have soul learnings and lessons.
And I choose to learn the lesson from the choice I made in this life
And I choose to learn the lesson from the choice I made in this life
of contracting
of contracting
Lyme disease.
Lyme disease.
So while we did all that, what resonated with you and what popped up in you?
Death. That's it.
So when you think about, I mean, you've lived many lifetimes and had many deaths. Does anything pop up? Is it a fear of death, a fear of dying with pain, or with what's coming up? Don't know. Even though I have this feeling of fear of death,
Even though I have this feeling of fear of death,
I've died many times,
I've died many times,
but I have this fear
but I have this fear
of illness and death.
of illness and death.
I accept myself
I accept myself
and the vulnerable feelings
and the vulnerable feelings
that I feel having this sickness.
that I feel having this sickness.
I accept myself
I accept myself,
and I choose to release it and let it go.
and I choose to release it and let it go.
Top of the head. Wherever it comes from,
Wherever it comes from,
whatever lifetime,
whatever lifetime,
all the lifetimes I've felt the fear of death.
all the lifetimes I felt the fear of death.
When I'd been locked in my body,
When I've been locked in my body,
eyebrow, when I felt the fear of death,
I felt the fear of death.
corner of the eye, when I felt that hard to breathe
And I
feeling,
felt that hard to breathe feeling,
that suffocating feeling.
that suffocating feeling.
Any lifetime where I was killed,
Any lifetime where I was killed,
where I couldn't breathe,
where I couldn't breathe,
that hard to breathe feeling,
that hard to breathe feeling,
that vulnerable feeling,
that vulnerable feeling.
instructing the multidimensional layers of my DNA
Instructing the multidimensional layers of my DNA
to process and release this feeling,
to process and release this feeling,
this fear of sickness and death,
and this fear of sickness and death,
all the way back to its origin
all the way back to its origin,
in this life and every life,
in this life and every life,
including this one,
including this one,
out into the future.
out into the future.
It's all an illusion.
It's all an illusion.
I'm immortal.
I'm immortal.
Releasing the physical fear of death
Releasing the physical fear of death
and illness,
and illness,
the vulnerable, weak feeling,
the vulnerable, weak feeling,
out of my chest, my heart, my legs,
out of my chest, my heart, my legs,
all the way back to its origin,
all the way back to its origin,
letting my body know I'm safe,
letting my body know I'm safe,
letting my body know I'm safe in all of those lifetimes,
letting my body know I'm safe in all of those lifetimes,
seeing me rise up into spirit
seeing me rise up into spirit
in all of those lifetimes,
in all of those lifetimes,
releasing the fear
releasing the fear
around death,
around death,
around illness,
around illness,
that hard to breathe feeling,
that hard to breathe feeling,
the fear,
the fear,
the weakness,
the weakness,
the vulnerability,
the vulnerability,
connecting them all with their guides
connecting them all with their guides
and higher self,
and higher self,
that part of them that is immortal,
the part of them that is immortal,
allowing them to feel peace
allowing them to feel peace
as they move over into death
as they move over into death
and into spirit,
and into spirit,
releasing the fear before death,
releasing the fear before death,
releasing the fear from illness
releasing the fear from illness
that holds it in its place,
that holds it in its place,
releasing the need for illness
releasing the need for illness
all the way back to its origin,
all the way back to its origin,
and all the symptoms that I feel
and all the symptoms that I feel
and the fear and vulnerability attached to it,
and the fear and vulnerability attached to it,
fear and vulnerability of life
the fear and vulnerability of life
that illness sometimes protects me from,
that illness sometimes protects me from,
keeping me safe and cocooned
keeping me safe and cocooned
from the big wide world
from the big wide world
I want to release that fear.
I want to release that fear.
And know that I'm safe to move into life.
And know that I'm safe to move into life.
And even into death.
And even into death.
In this life and every life.
In this life and every life.
I never really die.
I never really die.
And I choose to live life to its fullest.
I choose to live life to its fullest.
Allowing me to feel vulnerable even in life.
Allowing me to feel vulnerable even in life.
And feel safe.
And feel safe.
Without the illness.
Without the illness.
Releasing the weak feeling.
Releasing the weak feeling.
Knowing that it's safe to feel strong.
Knowing that it's safe to feel strong.
And letting my body know it's safe to feel strong.
And letting my body know it's safe to feel strong.
Okay, so did anything come up while we were doing that?
Yeah, when my mom was tapping and she said the thing about the person she couldn't save who died, something about that, when she said that I like couldn't breathe, it was like something like that was me or I was there.
Yeah. Yeah, even though I have this memory.
Even though I have this memory.
I couldn't breathe.
I couldn't breathe.
I don't know if it was me she couldn't save.
I don't know if it was me she couldn't save.
But I couldn't breathe.
But I couldn't breathe.
I accept myself and that memory.
I accept myself in the memory.
And that lifetime.
And that lifetime.
That weakness and vulnerability.
That weakness and vulnerability.
I choose to release it and let it go.
I choose to release it and let it go.
On a soul level.
On a soul level.
I choose to release it and let it go.
I choose to release it and let it go.
Over the head, that I can't breathe feeling.
That I can't breathe feeling.
Back in that lifetime.
Back in that lifetime.
We reincarnate in groups.
We reincarnate in groups.
In families.
In families.
In order to release and let go.
In order to release and let go.
Of soul levels.
Of soul levels.
Patterns.
Patterns.
And I choose to release it and let it go.
And I choose to release it and let it go.
And I provide forgiveness.
And I provide forgiveness.
For myself.
For myself.
And for the soul of my mother.
And for the soul of my mother.
All the guilt I felt.
The guilt I felt.
We have issues. We're releasing stuff over there too. I think we're all feeling it. Releasing it at a soul level.
Releasing it at a soul level.
Back then.
Back then.
And now.
And now.
I let my chest know it's safe to breathe again.
I let my chest know it's safe to breathe again.
It's safe to be healthy and well again now.
It's safe to be healthy and well again now.
I release and let go of that soul learning and pattern.
I release and let go of that soul learning and pattern.
I step through it now.
I step through it now.
As a light being.
As a light being.
As a soul.
As a soul.
With free choice.
With free choice.
I step through that lesson now.
I step through that lesson now.
All the way back to that lifetime.
All the way back to that lifetime.
And every lifetime.
And every lifetime.
I release and let go of the fear of life.
I release and let go of the fear of life.
And the fear of death.
And the fear of death.
And all the emotions.
And all the emotions.
I am immortal.
I am immortal.
And in honor of that life.
And in honor of that life.
I choose to live a healthy life.
I choose to live a healthy life.
In this life.
In this life.
Releasing and letting go.
Releasing and letting go.
Of that soul connection.
Of that soul connection.
And everything that holds me back.
And everything that holds me back.
From living a healthy life.
From living a healthy life.
In this life.
In this life.
Releasing and letting go.
Releasing and letting go.
Of all the lifetimes.
Of all the lifetimes.
Where I felt the need. Where I felt the need.
Where I felt the need.
To live a weak life.
To live a weak life.
And a life filled with illness.
And a life filled with illness.
Where I didn't feel the desire to live a full life.
Where I didn't feel a desire to live a full life.
Where I didn't feel I deserved to live a full life.
Where I didn't feel I deserved to live a full life.
Releasing and letting go of that karma.
Releasing and letting go of that karma.
It's safe for me to live a healthy life.
It's safe for me to live a healthy life.
I choose to live a healthy life.
I choose to live a healthy life.
And I thank my DNA.
And I thank my DNA.
For the Lyme disease that I required back then.
For the Lyme disease that I required back then.
In order to step through this lesson.
In order to step through this lesson.
And I no longer have a need for it.
And I no longer have a need for it.
And I choose to release it and let it go.
And I choose to release it and let it go.
Instructing the multidimensional layers of my DNA
Instructing the multi-dimensional layers of my DNA
to release and let go of all need of holding on to Lyme disease.
and to release and let go of all need of holding on to Lyme disease.
I choose to step through this now.
I choose to step through this now.
I deserve to live a healthy life.
I deserve to live a healthy life.
I choose to live a healthy life.
I choose to live a healthy life.
I release all fear of illness and death.
I release all fear of illness and death.
I release that hard to breathe feeling
I release that hard to breathe feeling
all the way back to its origin
all the way back to its origin
in this life and every life.
in this life and every life.
I choose to step through that now.
I choose to step through that now.
It's safe for me to live a healthy life.
It's safe for me to live a healthy life.
In honour of that lifetime back then,
In honor of that lifetime back then,
I choose to live a healthy life.
I choose to live a healthy life.
I am living a healthy life.
I am living a healthy life.
And I give my DNA permission
And I give my DNA permission
to release all signs of Lyme disease.
to release all signs of Lyme disease.
So I bet you didn't expect that to pop up. Or you. So that's why you had to be last, because you had to wait for your mum to go through that first. How does that feel now when you tune into that life? Did you get any more details about it? You just knew you were involved in it somehow.
Yeah, I didn't get anything else, just know I wasn't.
Mm. So I want you to say out loud, I choose to live a healthy life.
I choose to live a healthy life.
It's safe for me to live a healthy life.
It's safe for me to live a healthy life.
How does that feel? Is there any resistance, or is there any feeling like, no, that's not going to happen? Can't be that easy.
A little bit, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Where do you feel that? Heart, chest.
Heart.
Mm-hmm. So even though there's all these medical reasons
So these medical reasons
why I can't just get over Lyme disease,
why I can't just get over Lyme disease.
and I have this resistance in my heart,
And I have this resistance in my heart.
it can't be that easy.
Can't be that easy.
My DNA can't just let go of it like that.
My DNA can't just let go of it like that.
Even though there's lots of research
Yeah.
of people having cancer just having it disappear.
Even though there's a lot of research of people having cancer just having it disappear.
And cryon has explained spontaneous remission.
And Quran has explained spontaneous remission.
But I still have this resistance,
I still have this resistance,
this fear that it can't just be that easy.
this fear that it just can't be that easy.
And I feel it in my heart.
And I feel it in my heart.
I accept myself
Accept myself.
and my logical brain and body
And my logical brain and body
saying that it just can't be released like that.
saying that it just can't be released like that.
And I ask my guides and higher self
I ask my guides and higher self
to give me the strength I need
to give me the strength I need
to be able to just be at ease with releasing it
to be able to just be at ease with releasing it.
all the way back to its origin.
All the way back to its origin.
Like pulling a tree out, roots and all,
Like pulling a tree out, roots and all,
throughout my DNA.
throughout my DNA.
I pull out all the need for illness
I pull out all the need for illness
in this life and every life.
in this life and every life.
Top of the head. That feeling and fear of resistance,
That feeling and fear of resistance,
resistance to being healthy.
resistance to being healthy.
I deserve to be healthy.
I deserve to be healthy
As a being of light,
as a being of light.
I instruct my DNA
I instruct my DNA
to find the healthy DNA
to find the healthy DNA
that I had before Lyme disease,
that I had before Lyme disease,
before I needed to have Lyme disease,
before I needed to have Lyme disease,
in order to learn this lesson
in order to learn this lesson
on a soul level.
on a soul level.
I've stepped through that now.
I've stepped through that now.
I no longer have a need for Lyme disease,
I no longer have a need for Lyme disease.
and I choose to pick up the pure DNA
And I choose to pick up the pure DNA
that have no traces of Lyme disease
that have no traces of Lyme disease
before I contracted to have Lyme disease.
before I contracted to have Lyme disease.
I have that DNA within me,
I have that DNA within me.
and I have it speak to the blueprint of the stem cells
And I have it speak to the blueprint of the stem cells
so that I can now recreate cells from that pure DNA.
So I can now recreate cells from that pure DNA.
My cells recreate every second.
My cells recreate every second.
And I instruct them to recreate from the pure DNA
And I instruct them to recreate from the pure DNA
that I had before Lyme disease.
that I had before Lyme disease.
It's safe for me now.
It's safe for me now
To use the blueprint of the stem cells
to use the blueprint of the stem cells
with the pure DNA,
with the pure DNA
without Lyme disease.
without Lyme disease.
I already have it within me.
I already have it in me.
I've already been it,
I've already been it.
and I choose to be it again.
And I choose to be it again.
So I want you to say out loud again, I choose to live a healthy life.
I choose to live a healthy life.
I am living a healthy life
I am living a healthy life
without the need for Lyme disease.
without the need for Lyme disease. That felt easier.
So what colour is it? Have you see yourself moving into the future with living a healthy life?
Yellow.
Yellow. I don't know you were going to say that. So it's yellow and a green, so it's coming up into the heart space. So the yellow is all about you have the ability to live. We read that out for you yesterday, Ingrid. Whoops. Which was all about releasing confusion and fear. So that's its main purpose of yellow. And focusing your intellect, so releasing stress, helping you to remember information, analyze and focus your mind clearly, clear away confusion and fear. You are bright and highly intelligent. You have the ability to find unique ways to solve problems and have strong leadership skills. Write down your ideas and thoughts, open up to opportunities to share them. Balance your work time with serious playtime, and you will stay relaxed enough to invent in your action your brilliant new idea. So when I read that and you think about, okay, and now I can step into life fully, and it's safe to move forward with that yellow-green feeling. How does that feel? Is there any resistance?
Still a little bit, yeah.
And that's around leadership?
Um,
Or stepping into, what's it about?
The fact that it's possible.
Yeah. Yep, even though there's still some fear
Even though there's still some fear.
around the fact that it might be possible
In fact, around the fact that it might be possible
for me to step into my true power.
for me to step into my true power.
I accept this fear
I accept this fear.
and I release it and let it go anyhow.
And I release it and let it go anyhow.
This fear of stepping into my true power,
This fear of stepping into my true power.
this fear of stepping into the future
This fear of stepping into the future
with leadership skills.
with leadership skills.
The Lyme disease has protected me from that
The Lyme disease has protected me from that.
and has provided me with a safety barrier.
And has provided me with a safety barrier.
And I release that safety barrier.
And I release that safety barrier.
I release the fear
And I release the fear.
around all of the lifetimes where I've stepped into leadership
I know all the lifetimes where I stepped into leadership
and I had a fear.
and I had a fear.
I release it from all those lifetimes
I release it from all those lifetimes
where I didn't feel safe standing in my power,
where I didn't feel safe standing in my power,
where I didn't feel safe as a leader.
where I didn't feel safe as a leader.
I release that and let it go,
I release that and let it go.
releasing the need for having Lyme disease to keep me safe.
And releasing the need for having Lyme disease to keep me safe.
It's safe to move into the future as a leader.
It's safe to move into the future as a leader.
It's safe for me to move forward.
It's safe for me to move forward.
It's safe for me to move from the cocoon and safety of the family.
It's safe for me to move from the cocoon and safety of the family.
I can breathe easily.
I can breathe easily.
What's coming up?
The family thing.
The Lyme disease has kept me safe in the family.
The Lyme disease has kept me safe in the family.
But I want to release and let go
But I want to release and let go
of all the fears
of all the fears
of moving away from the family
of moving away from the family
and being able to step into the future,
and being able to step into the future,
into my future.
into my future.
I never really step away from the family.
I never really stepped away from the family.
I'm always connected.
I'm always connected.
Even if I was that baby that died,
Even if I was that baby, I think I was it felt to me like it was
the partner,
the
mother.
The mother, yeah.
That feeling of loss of family.
The feeling of loss of family.
I never really lose family.
I never really lose family.
I release and let go of that feeling of loss of family.
I release and let go of that feeling of loss of family.
I never really lose family.
Never really lose family.
I've lived many lifetimes with my mother
I've lived many lifetimes with my mother
and other members of my family,
and other members of my family,
and I never really lose them.
and I never really lose them.
I release and let go of that feeling of losing family
I release and let go of that feeling of losing family.
all the way back to that lifetime
All the way back to that lifetime
when I lost that baby.
when I lost that baby.
And I rise up into spirit
And I rise up into spirit
all the way up,
all the way up,
connecting with the soul of that baby I lost,
connecting with the soul of that baby I lost,
connecting with the higher learning and lesson
connecting with the higher learning and lesson,
all the way up,
all the way up,
where I receive the higher learning,
where I receive the higher learning,
where I see the soul of that baby I lost.
where I see the soul of that baby I lost.
And I might even see or recognize that soul.
I might even see or recognize that soul.
And I get the higher learning and understanding
And I get the higher learning and understanding.
that I never really lose
I never really lose
anyone
anyone
at a soul level.
at a soul level.
Releasing the fear of losing family or moving away from family
Releasing the fear of losing family and moving away from family.
as I move into my leadership roles,
So I move into my leadership roles,
moving away from family.
moving away from family.
As my life moves on,
My life moves on.
I'm never really disconnected.
I'm never really disconnected.
I never really lose them.
I never really lose them.
I might even be more connected
I might even be more connected
as I move into my leadership role,
as I move into my leadership role.
releasing the need to hold on to Lyme disease.
Releasing the need to hold on to Lyme disease.
So you've seen me with my daughter overseas, back in Australia, and I've had more contact with her since I've been here than when I'm at home. See how you can stay so connected no matter where you are in the world. It's about releasing that fear that came from a soul level of I lost family and that fear of losing family. And having Lyme disease keeps you safe in the cocoon of family and gives you a reason for, well, I'm sick, I can't move out into the world.
Right.
And now we've released that. There's no need for you to be able to move out into the world and feel safe and connected and strong in your leadership and moving forward. How does that feel now?
Good.
There's always a reason for things at a soul level, not just the physical level of, getting a tick bite, and that was all concocted by your soul in order for you to work out, why do I need this?
Right.
For you to be able to move through it.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's no reason or need for it. You've stepped through that lesson of it. We've released it all the way back through time. Spontaneous remission gone.
Okay.
Okay. We shall see in the results of you moving forward, huh?
Yeah.